Hello everybody, JonnyVR here, back with my review series of Doctor Who Series 12, and here is my review of the fourth episode, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, and I'm going to keep the first part of the video spoiler-free as usual, so if you want the spoilers and the score, I'll give you a spoiler warning and go watch the episode and come back to see what I've rated it. Now, for the spoiler-free part, I'm going to answer the question that everybody wants to know. Is it better than Orphan 55? Yes. Do not worry about this episode, because it, in my opinion, is quite possibly the best episode since Jodie Whittaker became the Doctor. I am pleasantly surprised. I really thought it was a brilliant episode, honestly. It was written by Nina Mativier, first time ever writing for Doctor Who. I think she'd done some screenplay before, but this is her first sort of credited episode. She can come back and write another episode. She did an absolutely amazing job with the script. Absolutely brilliant. In a way that makes it so that every character gets something to do. All the companions get something to do. There's a real threat, a real alien threat, and there's a lot of twists. It doesn't go the way that it leads you on to think it's going to go. Changes here, there, and everywhere. You get amazing rivalry between Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison, and that really plays into the episode a lot. It's very clever all the way throughout. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Acted well, and yeah, she can definitely do another episode. This is probably the best Jodie Whittaker episode since she became the Doctor, and yeah, incredibly happy with this. Like, honestly, it feels a lot better than the other episodes. It feels like Doctor Who, which is something that hasn't maybe hasn't had the full feeling of Doctor Who for a while, especially after last week. Like, the comparison between Orphan 55 and this one is just like total other ends of the spectrum, and it's a real shame, because I saw, before this episode even aired, I saw reviews like from on IMDb and other places like that, where they'd review bombed it before it even come out. Credit where credit's due. This is a great episode, and I'm going to talk about it even more now. So here is your spoiler warning. I highly recommend going to watch it, and then you can come back and see my score at the end. So, when I first saw the title, when it was announced for Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, I thought it was a really brilliant title. Like, it's hilarious, and it sets the scene for something that you can see coming along. You're going to be like, how is this inventor going to deal with his time with the Doctor? And it turns out to be a Night of Terror, a brilliant title. There's no cold opening, just straight to the title sequence, and then the first sort of part is really dedicated to Tesla. The Niagara Falls look stunning. How they done that. He's at his generator, really good, setting the scene of a mystery. Something's wrong, something's died, or someone's died. One of his workers has died, and he has to go figure it out. Then he comes across this weird little sphere. And there's starts off with a whole chase. There's someone's after the sphere, or someone's after him with a gun, and he's there with his assistant Dorothy, and they have to go on the run from this guy. So it immediately starts to set the scene for some brilliant action-packed chase, and then boom, the Doctor appears seemingly out of nowhere, and you're like, whoa, that was quite not a bad entrance, to be honest. And she's faced with the enemy with the gun, and they have to run. They have to get out of there. At first I thought, this is like, it plays into what I didn't like about the last episode and other episodes, to be fair, with my thing about the TARDIS. They don't seem to be wanting to use the TARDIS. Like, you don't see them say, oh, let's go visit Nikola Tesla, and they go in the TARDIS to go see him. There was no moving column, no exit in the TARDIS doors, you know, full of wonder. They just appear there. They're already there. Events are already in motion. So I thought, that's another sort of wasted opportunity for the TARDIS. But it kicks off into this whole chase where they're being chased by this masked guy with a gun on a train. You know, that's how they're getting out. That's how they're getting from Niagara Falls to New York. And you know, there's a big scene. You know, Ryan with his dyspraxia is very afraid when he has to jump across the cars, but it's a really good chase. You know, dealt with really well. They take away his blaster, and they find out it's a Silurian blaster. A really nice touch, because a lot of people saw the image and thought it was a Silurian blaster. It actually is. So really nice to connect the dots. And everything sort of makes sense. The Nikola Tesla and his assistant, they don't want to give away the information to the Doctor and her companions. So, you know, they follow him then. It all makes sense. The character decisions, they all make sense. And so they end up going to New York, and you know, when they hit the New York, you see New York, you get the music. The music is great. You know, that's the kind of music that I see in Doctor Who, that I like in Doctor Who, is the kind where they go to New York for the first time. They like really enjoyed that. And you know, the Doctor's really excited about Nikola Tesla. Brilliant to see. Really brilliant to see. It's not just like the sort of excitement that she's had in previous episodes. It's like, it looks really, really genuinely excited that she gets to meet someone like Nikola Tesla. It all seems to go at a really good pace. You find out what the sphere was, really good, how it's a very mysterious object from a very mysterious ancient race of aliens, which, you know, has been repurposed. So it builds the world without actually going into any more depth into that. Very mysterious race of ancient aliens, but it's been repurposed. The guy who plays Nikola Tesla, he does a fantastic job throughout the episode. Really good. Can't deny that. He's one of the highlights. He does really good. He plays this character who's really challenged. People don't like him. People don't like his inventions. The rivalry between him and Thomas Edison is very intense for him, and you can really see it in his face. He does a really good job. Graham, he calls the Silurian blaster a Slimurian blaster. Really funny. He gets some good lines in this. And this is something that I thought was really funny, because in Spyfall and Spyfall Part 2, he gets this really weird, you know, laser shoes. I think he's sort of used for humour by Chris Chibnall, whereas I think other writers, they understand that when he's the best person to say lines, like when it makes sense for him to be the giver of the funny lines, whereas I think Chris Chibnall says, he's funny, so I'll make him say a funny thing. Yeah, he gets some great lines in this. And that's the thing, this episode, probably the best episode where each of the companions gets something really good to do. Yaz gets a really good conversation with Nikola Tesla. Ryan does a really good job talking with Dorothy, and they find things in common. When they all go into the TARDIS, Dorothy's finding it a bit overwhelming, and Ryan talks to her, finds things in common with her, and delivers a really good line, in my opinion, where he looks at the Doctor and says, you know, she's good with impossible too. I think that's a brilliant line. And you know, Graham as well, he gets the job of keeping Thomas Edison in check, you know, and Thomas Edison is the one who's very much opposed to Nikola Tesla throughout the whole episode, and he gets to sort of throw a bit back at Thomas Edison. He likes to show his knowledge of the universe, you know, after traveling with the Doctor. When the Doctor's explaining what's happened to the cube, he's like, oh yeah, I knew it when I first saw it, even though we know that he didn't know. He's so smug when he gets to show Edison that actually he's not the smartest person. Brilliant. And the good thing is about this episode, everyone gets something to do, and everything is very tight. It's a really good script. Everything like makes sense. The Yaz and Tesla, they get transported to the alien ship. We get an alien ship in this episode, and we get a race of aliens and a queen alien called the Skithra, queen of the Skithra. And I already think that she looks different. Obviously, she's actually played by an actress who used to play Rani in Sarah Jane Adventures, but like totally made up. You can barely tell it's her. And her voice is distorted as well. But she looks really good. One of the creatures from the trailer that I thought looked really good. The sort of the generic Skithra with the scorpion looking things, they look great, and there's a whole army of them at times. Brilliant, really good, solid, and they get a really good explanation as to why they're there, what they're there for, and who they are as a race of aliens. What else have I got here? We've got. We get to see a lot more scenes in the TARDIS from the middle of the episode to the end, and that's what I was preferring. That's something that I thought was missing from Series 11 and missing from earlier episodes, is prolonged periods in the TARDIS, and they get scenes where you got Thomas Edison, Dorothy, Ryan Graham, they're in the TARDIS, and you get to see Dorothy and Edison sort of amazement, at this machine, having been inventors themselves, and you get to see their reaction to the machine. It's brilliant. It's really good, and you get to see the Doctor doing some clever stuff in the TARDIS to make something, which in this case happens to be something she can communicate with the Skithra. You get to see one thing I noticed is you don't see the TARDIS dematerialize. You just hear the sound, and then all of a sudden it's in Tesla's lab. Again, a little bit of a missed opportunity. I just think, why not? Why not add it in? Why not see it move? But anyway, you get to see Tesla's lab. Check this out. I will look back at this, but I noticed on Tesla's board in his lab there's something that looks like a Dalek. So definitely I'm going to go check that out again, and you should too. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. But you get to see Tesla versus an alien threat. The Queen, he's not going. He's resting on his own morals. He's talking to the Queen like, I'm not doing this. I do what I do because it's what I enjoy, and I don't see your cause being just. And then she's on about killing Yaz, and then the Doctor appears again. She gets two pretty good entrances in this episode, once at the beginning and once when she's on the ship, and a really good bit of clever use of technology to get everyone off the ship. And you see, the Queen is ruthless. She kills one of her own, race for speaking out of turn. Really, crazy. And then you get to see Nikola Tesla's reaction to the TARDIS, and you get the great musical touch there, and he calls it fantastical, and you really do, like, for me, I was like, this is the kind of scenes that I want to see people going into the TARDIS. And he does the whole bigger on the inside thing, which is what everybody wants to see, and he does it in he explains it in such a scientific way that's like purely Tesla. Brilliant. And you get a real threat in the end with the ship, or the Queen Skithra, giving the Doctor a choice, and it's a big choice. It's give them Tesla or they'll destroy Earth. And this has immediate sort of repercussions on Tesla, who's like, you can't, my life is not worth the Earth. And the Doctor gives him time. He leaves the task. He has time to sort of think about this and before making the decision. And the Doctor says, no, we're going to do something about this. And they have this whole montage where they figure out a plan. Everyone gets something to do. We got Yaz and Thomas Edison going out to tell everyone to get off the streets. Yaz really struggles with this, and this is what I think is really clever about this script, is that Thomas Edison grabs a local newspaper which is established earlier on in the episode that, you know, there's protests against Tesla, and he grabs a newspaper, and he's the one who usually leads the protests, and he starts telling everybody that Nikola Tesla is doing an experiment and it's not safe to be on the streets. Everyone should go inside if they fear for their lives. And I thought that was such a clever use of Thomas Edison in the episode, because it is both historically accurate and it gets the job done, and it's a clever way of doing that. Points for that. And I think you get a great chase between Thomas Edison and Yaz against the Skithra, who chase after them. You know, that's what you want. You want chase scenes in Doctor Who, and you see Thomas Edison actually gets to kill one of them. Like, Thomas Edison gets to shoot an alien. That's awesome. Like, and the Doctor's not even there to see it. Brilliant. And they escape. They're throwing things on the street to slow them down. Really good. Ryan, or Nikola Tesla, and the Doctor, they're the ones who are working to power up the towers with the TARDIS, and you get scenes going in and out of the TARDIS. The TARDIS changes colour. It's brilliant. You get TARDIS scenes, and I like TARDIS scenes. And then you got Ryan and Graham and Dorothy, who have to look throughout Tesla's lab for things that they can defend themselves, because they know the Skithra are coming. And they have this cool thing with the prototype death ray, and they're finding all sorts of things that they can use to defend themselves and barricade them in. And then when it comes to the final showdown, things don't even go the way that you think, because you have they have this cool thing about the TARDIS. When they shoot the ship in the sky with the tower, the TARDIS will lose its shields, and that's going to let everything in. But there's no other way around it. You have to do it. Brilliant way to raise the stakes. And when they actually do it, the tower's charging up, and they all close in on the building. They're ready to defend themselves, and then they realize that the Queen, who they were aiming for in the ship, was actually not on the ship. Again, it doesn't go what it leads you to believe that it's going to do, and it makes for a really interesting conversation, between the Queen of the Skithra, the Doctor, and all the other companions. She gets a real chance to intimidate them. And sort of has that moment to outsmart the Doctor, which I think was quite a good moment. And you get her saying that she's going to destroy the planet, how she's going to kill the Doctor first for honor. She should get the honor to do that. And it's really well thought out. It's a very good showdown between the Doctor and the villain, and there's even one line where she says to the Doctor, "Have you ever seen a dead planet?" And we know from the first 2 episodes that she indeed has seen her own planet be destroyed, and it's such a better way of dealing with the story arc of this series than was in Orphan 55, where we get told that she looks a bit moody. It's a direct sort of a target for the Doctor, and she has to deal with that in that moment. She can't let herself be phased, and she doesn't. And in the end, you get the sort of a really clever way of dealing with it. The teleportation device that she used to get onto the ship in the first place, she picks it up, and she gets grabbed by other Skithra who then give the device to the Queen, which she obviously presumes is a weapon, but no, she is able to then teleport her back to the ship, fire the lightning bolt at the ship. All the other Skithra go back to the ship also, and the music at this point is really good, because that they've won. Interestingly, the ship doesn't appear to be destroyed. It does appear to sort of shoot off into light speed into the distance. So again, quite a common thing is that they don't always go away. They don't always go for good. They just disappear. So I think it's interesting to see how that will happen, or whether if they'll come back in the future. but I think they were very good enemies, and I really think they should come back. It would be also a good opportunity for Nina Mativia, the writer, to actually build them a bit more. You know, if she's writing them, you know, she should get a chance to explore them more, and she should get a chance to write for Doctor Who again. Overall, hugely successful episode. You know, it doesn't include anything you don't want. It's well thought out. It's well written. You get great music, and the thing is as well, it does teach you a lot about Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla. And I think, you know, there's a bit in the episode where Yaz says to Graham, "Oh yeah, what did Tesla even invent?" And that's sort of supposed to sort of show the audience that actually they don't know quite a lot about Tesla. Maybe you know a lot about Tesla, but I don't. But I learned a lot from this episode, and this is what I think happens when they wanted to make it sort of go back to its educational roots, which I think this episode does hugely successfully, because it teaches without shoving it in your face, and it does so in a very well written story. Now, I'm going to give it a score. I give Spyfall Part 1 the best score, and I think it was 8.7, and I think that I give it because I was shocked. I was shocked because you know, it was a good story, but also the Return of the Master, it got me, and it was a great start to series 12. This episode, I'm tying for it because it's a different kind of episode. So I'm gonna put it as I'm gonna stick with my initial sort of review that it is the best episode of Jodie Whittaker's so far. I'm gonna give it an 8.8, just beating Spyfall Part 1, and that's only because I love the twist in Spyfall Part 1, but this one is such a well-written, contained story that it's well worth a watch, and I will definitely rewatch it. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching, and make sure you tune in next time for the review, and we get the return of the Jadoon in next week's episode, which I'm looking forward to. So all the best. Make sure you click like and subscribe, and also check out my gaming channel, where myself and Shaq, we play video games every week. So yeah, with all that said and done, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.